undisputed super middleweight champion. Just another night in Las Vegas for him Saturday night, undisputed versus undisputed. Jermell Charlo has built much of his great career up to this point, chasing that man, Canelo Alvarez.
I don't like being fake. He's calling me out a lot of times.
Yeah, we said a lot of things.
I have something to prove to him because he never believed in my skills.
Well, no matter what he say, I come to win this fight. You believe in your skills or not.
Maybe this guy is extra dangerous because of that will inside.
When they step in the ring and start feeling it's different.
I'm a lion.
I don't know what animal I need to say to be the lion, but whatever. I'm that animal.
We cannot wait for this one. History on the line Saturday night in Las Vegas. Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo. The first time we have had a clash between undisputed male champs in the four-belt era. It is all going down tomorrow night, Saturday, September 30th, 8 Eastern. You can check it out on Showtime pay-per-view. And two guys landing the winning ticket, the guys behind the Morning Combat podcast. We have BC and Luke Thomas. Brian Campbell, we're going to start with you on this one. Look, I am so jealous you guys are there. This fight is unprecedented. For people who aren't as familiar with it as you guys are, kind of explain the significance, BC, behind this fight.
Well, look, we all want one division, one champion, one name in boxing. Unfortunately, there's a proliferation of world titles, but there are 4 recognized world titles today. And what we are seeing of late is just a stretch that every boxing fan has to enjoy. The best are facing the best, and we are figuring out who's the best in this sport. Canelo Alvarez, one of the best in this sport of all time, one of the pound-for-pound best across a 10-year run. He's the unbeaten 4-belt champ at 168. But Jermell Charlo has been following him, stalking him for most of his career. He's currently the 4-belt champion at junior middleweight, 2 divisions below. And even though Canelo is a sizable favorite because of that leap in weight, let's not forget who Charlo is. 2 blemishes on his record, a disputed loss to Tony Harrison, a controversial draw with Brian Castano. But when you put this man, this lion, against the wall, how did he respond? Knockout victories to avenge both of those. He's entering in here as a live dog against the living legend Canelo Alvarez. They may be the same age at 33, but what does the mileage have to say about? Just a few things to think about entering this star-studded matchup Saturday night.
And if I may, I'd add just 2 more sort of bigger details here, one on each side. For Canelo Alvarez, of course, he is one of the biggest faces, if not the biggest face in the sport of boxing. But his last 3 performances have not necessarily been up to par. He went up to 175 and didn't look so great against Dimitri Bivol. And then, of course, he did win against Triple G and then John Ryder, but they weren't hugely inspiring performances. Can he get back to that against an undisputed guy coming up 2 weight classes? On the other side for Charlo, this is a guy who's been chasing everything Canelo's already had for such a long time, including respect within the boxing community. He could get everything he wants and then some with a victory on Saturday. So in either case, big stakes.
And I think what's really interesting, same age for these guys. Canelo has basically twice the amount of fights as Charlo does. And Canelo, as you mentioned, Luke, some might be saying he's slowing down. Charlo, his best days could still be ahead of him. So let's talk about Charlo in this particular bout. BC, I'm going to start with you here. Look, his huge fight in Vegas, he's doing pay-per-view, he's under the lights, he's moving up in weight. He's been chasing Canelo Alvarez for so long now. How does that all play out for him come Saturday?
Well, I mean, look, if you're looking for clues, if you're trying to paint a picture for the potential of a Jermell Charlo upset, I think there's some breadcrumbs around. And a lot of that aligns with the demeanor of Jermell Charlo, the fact that he's a proven commodity as somebody who carries his power late into fights, comes on late. There's unavoidable questions he's going to have to answer inside the ring. The 16-month layoff recovering from left-hand surgery, and obviously moving up 2 weight divisions. But something Jermell Charlo's trainer, Derek James, told me, the reigning and defending trainer of the year, is they really look at this as a fight between 2 junior middleweights. Yes, Canelo's won world titles as high as 175 pounds. But there was a time we thought Canelo Alvarez was too small for the middleweight division. Jermell Charlo is 4 inches taller. He has a 2.5-inch reach advantage. He's always been a huge junior middleweight. And I think you do have to look at the stocks. Who's rising, who's falling. If you're Canelo, he's got a great excuse, right? He said he's had a left-hand injury that's been nagging. He's been unable to train at full capacity the last 3 fights despite winning 2 of them. But when old, great fighters start to show their age, sometimes it's that inability to fight for the full 3 minutes of the round. That could be an opening, that could be a window for Charlo, because unlike some of Canelo's opponents in recent years who are very skilled, you have to ask yourself against the great Canelo, are you willing to walk through hell? Are you willing to risk the knockout loss to get the W? Jermell Charlo is. If he sent one message at Wednesday's press conference, it was, I'm here to win. And I think that matters at this level.
Yeah, I would add on top of that, if you're looking for particular weapons from Jermell Charlo, the scouting report would tell you everything is from that lead hand. Got a great jab. He finished off Jason Rosario with it, and he has a monster left hook. It won him the rematch against Tony Harrison. It won him the rematch against Brian Castano. It's in fact what made him undisputed. He's got one of the best left hooks in the business. Make no mistake about it. But here's the rub. Neither he nor Canelo is a big output guy. They throw about 40 punches around, which is not a lot for this division. So you kind of have to wonder exactly how they're going to be judicious about it. More importantly, what you notice is that Charlo really gets going when guys exchange with him. But if they're very defensive and covering up and just looking, he has a hard time sort of cracking open the defenses. So what kind of game plan is Canelo going to employ to shut this guy down, to land his own left hook? How is he going to get out of the way of that jab, of that left hook, of that 1-2? These are some of the more central questions around Charlo and what approach Canelo might have towards that.
Okay, Luke, then I'm going to throw it right back to you. Let's talk about Canelo, though. Used to fighting at these weights, like he's used to these massive fights, and being in this position, double almost the amount of fights. We talked about that mileage, and you said what sort of game plan, can he implement against a guy like Charlo? So, Luke, what do you want to see from Alvarez come Saturday?
I think the really big, most important part is going to be getting Charlo backed up against the ropes. Charlo has talked about his lateral movement. He will need something like that, like he did in the second Harrison fight, and more particularly in the second Castano fight. He does tend to give up ground a little bit easily, but then guys corner him. They have these exchanges, and that's actually where the big left hook goes. So if you're a Canelo fan or you're looking to see what Canelo's going to do, I do think backing up Charlo against the ropes will be actually very critical. Where the real estate of this fight takes place will be a very big predictor of who's going to win. But more than that, he has got to land on Charlo and kind of get out of the way a little bit. If you just stand in front of the guy, I don't know exactly how Canelo's going to handle some of these punches for a guy moving up 2 weight classes. We've seen him take punches from much bigger guys, but it's really not a game you want to play if you don't have to. Pressure, but careful pressure, scientific pressure from Canelo. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, if you want to sort of explain why is Canelo Alvarez a 4-1 favorite here, it's not just the experience, the size disadvantage in Charlo moving up, and the idea of can he prove that both his chin and his power is worthy on the 168-pound level. Canelo's also just a craftier fighter, more ways to win, better technique, all around. Look, he's seen it all. He's seen every type of opponent. Am I trying to argue that maybe Charlo brings together certain elements that Canelo hasn't seen in the same package in some time? That's a fair argument to make. But Canelo is still here, still on top, by the way, 10 years after his first pay-per-view main event against Floyd Mayweather 10 years and 1 month ago here in Las Vegas. He's still on top because of the consistency, but the evolution. So for Canelo, Luke nailed it early. If you can take away Charlo's first gear and you can force him to be somebody maybe he doesn't want to be, that's the areas where Canelo can thrive, because he can be great anywhere. If you can keep Jermell Charlo's punch output down and make this more about one big punch and chasing the perfect punch, it's going to be easy for Canelo Alvarez to rip him to the body, slow him down, and really just use that physicality. He might not even need the skill in that sense. But one thing to know, Canelo Alvarez can be a late starter because he takes the snapshot, as so many great fighters do, Floyd Mayweather, Tank Davis, and they adjust and adapt throughout the fight. There's going to become a point around the midway that this will turn into a fight, because Canelo will adjust and make it that. The question is, who has won enough rounds, in my opinion, up to that point? It's going to be about Jermell Charlo coming out with that jab. It's going to be up to Canelo to take that jab away early. How does he do that? Clean, hard, accurate counter punches. That's the best way to welcome a smaller fighter 2 divisions higher.
Guys, when I am at my fights, they make fun of me because I get so nervous. And listening to you guys right now talk about each boxer, I have become so nervous. I need to ask you for a prediction. Just listening to you talk, you almost want to put a little money on Charlo, especially with those odds there. He is a big underdog, but I'm going to ask you for a prediction. Luke, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go Canelo by decision. I do take Jermell Charlo seriously. Of the two Charlo brothers, of course, undisputed, I think very, very good. And I am very interested to see how that left hook is going to play some role in what Canelo does. But over time, Canelo has seen these kinds of looks before. I do think he is probably on the latter end of his career, but still prime enough to win a contest like this. So it might be a pitched battle. I think Cinnamon gets his hand raised on Saturday night.
Look, let's not forget, Jermell Charlo wasn't supposed to be here. Jermell Charlo, his twin brother, the WBC middleweight champion, got the first call. But that doesn't mean it's a surprise or a last-minute get that Jermell is here. He's followed Canelo his whole career. He's used that name and call-out so many times back when they were in the same division. For Jermell Charlo to pull off this upset, it's going to have to come through volume, outworking Canelo more rounds than he doesn't, but obviously not hanging in that pocket too long, where Canelo is arguably the best sniper of the day, landing that one shot that can change the momentum of the fight. But why am I riding the upset pick here for Charlo in the end? Because I think he's coming on. This is the rare fighter that fights better when the stakes get higher, when the danger increases, when his back is pushed against the wall. I don't think Canelo Alvarez is past it at age 33. I don't think we need a wheelchair waiting for him after this. But if he's not the same guy he was 2-3 years ago, he might have a problem with Jermell Charlo, because this guy comes to win. He dares to be great. And even though #Lions Only looks great on a t-shirt, right? Nice marketing ploy. It really is what he's all about at the end. To beat Canelo Alvarez, unless you have, like Dimitri Bivol, a big size and skill advantage, you're going to have to go into the muck. You're going to have to get dirty. You're going to have to roar. Hey, upset season Saturday night in Las Vegas. It's Jermell Charlo's time to roar. Give me a 12-round decision win. Nobody beats Canelo by decision. Hey, historically, it's tough to do. Let's see Jermell Charlo rise to the occasion and shake up boxing's deepest and most star-studded division.
I feel like I need to give you guys some gloves and just to step in the ring. Thank you so much, BC and Luke there. Look, Luke's ready to go. He's putting up the fist. Enjoy Vegas, behave yourselves, have so much fun Saturday night. Those are the guys behind the Morning Combat podcast. They're in Vegas. They did talk to Canelo Alvarez. You can make sure to download and follow their podcast to hear all the behind-the-scenes ongoings there in Vegas, and of course their reaction to what happened Saturday night.